What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Krusty Christy. In this video, I still hear her scream in my dreams. This was his first call as a police officer. I seen this and I wanted to check it out. And I thought, why not review it with all of you? So let's check it out. You know how the Marines, people in the armed forces, have PTSD. Police officers, especially detectives who only go to murder sites, that's their job, to go to murder scenes. People decapitated, kids being shot, dead in the face with a shotgun. You gotta have a different mentality, man. You gotta have, I don't think being a detective or a police officer is made for humans. Anyways, let's get to it.
7:30 in the morning, my first call. Call comes out. Missing kid. It's cool. It's a great one to go to. It's a great one to learn from. Right off the gate, missing kids. They come up all the time. So, a lot of them are runaways. A lot of them are just hiding in closets. Don't want to go to school. Parents just can't find them. Whatever. They're not actually missing. They're just running away. So, we get there, and the mother is just...
5 words you pronounce wrong. 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia is now known as...
She's really like distressed. I don't know what she's supposed to look like. It's my first call ever. She's like, I can't find my son. I don't know where he's at. I've searched the whole house. I just haven't looked in the basement. They're like, well, has he ever had any behavior of running away? No, he just doesn't like going to school. Like, all right, man, we'll search the house again.
Why would you not check the basement? You call the police before you check the basement? Sounds odd to me. But maybe she's scared of the basement, going by herself, you know. There's women like that. I don't know.
Doesn't like going to school. Like, all right, man, we'll search the house again. Search the whole house, nothing. Open up the basement door, started walking down the steps. I see 2 little bare feet. Maybe about a foot and a half off the ground. And I'm like, wow, I already know what this is. I get all the way down to the basement. My FTO is behind me. He took an extension cord, tied it to a water pipe, multiple pipes, and hung himself. So we're sitting there, and I'm day one, man, first call. My FTO is such a coward. He said, hey, you need to go up and tell that mother that her son is deceased, and we found him. Why don't you go do that? I'm in training. This is my first day. I'm not even supposed to do nothing. I'm just watching you.
You're in
No,
training.
you need to go do that.
You
I'm
gotta
telling you
learn.
to go do it.
You gotta learn.
All right, roger that. So I go up there. She's standing in the kitchen. She leaned up against the counter, and I'm like, hey, ma'am, I'm sorry to tell you, but your son is in the basement, and he's no longer alive. She let out a scream, Sean, that I still hear every night. I watched her open her mouth and scream, and when she opened her mouth and screamed, I watched her soul leave her body. And I go back downstairs. She's screaming. Finally, her sister gets there. She's comforting her. I'm holding the kid's legs. FTO cuts the extension cord off. He had like one of the serrated knives and
12.
cut him down. We laid him on the ground.
12.
Did all the things. call the detective.
He didn't like going to school. He was only 12 years old. I guarantee you he was bullied. No one would kill themselves. I've heard of 12 to 15-year-olds killing themselves because they didn't like going to school because they were bullied really bad. No one kills themselves because they don't like going to school. I don't like homework. No. He didn't like going to school because he was bullied, tormented. And he ended his life. I would like to know if he ever told his parents that he was being bullied. But anyways, 12 years old, and he ended it.
His next rotation came. Next rotation is I'm holding the kid's legs. FTO cuts the extension cord off. He had like one of the serrated knives and cut him down. We laid him on the ground. Did all the things. Called the detectives. Next rotation came. Next rotation is kind of like towing, like for tow trucks. If we need a tow truck, it's the next on rotation. But we have a morgue service, so they're in a rotation. So next rotation means whoever the morgue service is up to come get the body. That comes. We call for next rotation for morgue. They come to and they get the body, and we go through on out the day. Like the next call, man, was after that. The next call was some old lady complaining, and she was mad that the neighbor's cat was on her car. Realistically, she was lonely. Just wanted somebody to have coffee with at 9 o'clock in the morning.
But you don't call in.
So you go from
a dead 12-year-old
cutting a dead 12-year-old who hung himself
to an 80-year-old
mom's
lady
basement.
who wants to file a complaint, she wants a police report for her neighbor's cat that's on her car, causing damage.
That's sick.
And I have to be able to give her every bit of me that I can, because she's calling me.
You gotta block out that 12-year-old boy who you saw dead, hanging, and had to hold his legs so that the other officer could cut him down. To the next call being an 80-year-old woman complaining about a cat, the neighbor's cat, being on her vehicle. And it was just her being lonely. Everyone is lonely at times, but I'm lonely. I haven't had anyone over except my dad, who comes over once a week to give me groceries and stuff. I haven't had anyone over in 15 years. I don't have any friends, no girlfriends. I literally have no one come over. I'm lonely. I've been lonely for like 20 years. I don't care if I live to be 90 and I'm still like this lonely. I would never call 911 or screw that 80-year-old. F her. First of all, complaining about the neighbor's cat being on your car and wanting to file a police report. And he said that she was lonely, so she must have said something like, I'm lonely, or something like that. Get an effing dog, or you get a cat, or 2 cats.
Causing damage. Lady,
Spaceman.
he wants to file a complaint, or she wants a police report for her neighbor's cat that's on her car, causing damage. And I have to be able to give her every bit of me that I can, because she's calling me. She's calling me for a service, my job. I can't go there and just give her half-ass. I have to switch off what just happened. What I just went through doesn't matter anymore. That's done. Kick it out.
How do you do that?
Customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
I hate you, YouTube.
Try not to think about it. Focus on, man, the queue is so busy. The queue and the calls, they're just stacked. There'll be 15, 20 calls pending. They all go by priority.
Depends on what
You don't have
city.
time to think about what you just went
If
through,
it's
because
like
the
a
next
small-
thing that you're going to go through might be just as bad.
If it's a small town,
The next call might be your life. Can't think about that. You can't dwell on that,
it's
kid.
like New York.
That's horrible.
It's a lot of calls.
But how do I know the next call is me not dealing with somebody that's going to try to kill me? I have to be mentally sharp to deal with the next call. Once you get in your car and that call's over, put your hand on the steering wheel, let out a big old nice scream, and push on.
I once heard a retired detective, talk about one of his first cases, and this was like on a podcast. And he said that he went to a murder scene, and he didn't say what it was, but he just said it was something that made all the officers just cry. It was just so sad. And this officer went into his police car, and just started crying. And like a minute later, on his police scanner or whatever, he picked it up. He had to stop crying, and picked it up, and it was another murder scene that he had to go to. And he said he had to you gotta just wipe out what you just saw like it didn't happen, and go to this new murder scene and put all of your focus into the new murder scene. Detectives, police officers, they have to have like major PTSD. This guy said, what do you say, drinking?
By priority. You don't have time to think about what you just went through, because the next thing that you're going to go through might be just as bad. The next call might be your life. Can't think about that. You can't dwell on that, kid. That's horrible. But how do I know the next call is me not dealing with somebody that's going to try to kill me? I have to be mentally sharp to deal with the next call. Once you get in your car and that call's over, put your hand on the steering wheel, let out a big old nice scream, and push on. Because guess what? The next call is somebody else is having their very worst moment of their life that you are responding to. Every call is somebody's worst moment of their life. And every call, you should treat it as if it's your first call of the day, because they deserve that. They're calling you at their worst time. I never got a phone call for somebody to come tell me I was doing a great job, or somebody to cook me food or pat me on the back. Every call for 10 hours is somebody's worst moment. Somebody's dead, somebody's about to kill themselves, a robbery, a murder, a mental patient standing in his garage naked with a butcher knife, to Granny wanting to have a cup of coffee. It's insane. And there is no shutting it off. I still think about all of it. And there are cops that have been way through more than me. I don't know. I did was the next call could be life ending for me, so I need to be switched on. That call no longer exists. It goes away. It's just a report number. And then you deal with it when you get home by drinking or lashing out at your family. And then you wake up the next day and you go to work and you treat people at work better than you treated your family because you can't show up to work angry. You can't lash out at people at work. They'll put you on administrative leave and take your gun, make you go get help.
PTSD, man. It makes you lash out sometimes at people. Something triggers. You gotta be just wired differently. You gotta be totally wired differently to be a police officer, a detective, seeing nothing but murder scenes, armed forces. You gotta be wired differently in order to do that stuff. I couldn't do it. If I seen kids who had just been murdered, I would get on my knees and just start bawling. I want to be able to handle it. I'm a very sensitive guy. I just seeing that 12-year-old who hanged himself, I just couldn't deal with it. You have to be wired differently, or you just have to. The people that would be great at being police officers, detectives, and the armed forces are narcissists, or people who don't have any empathy, who don't have any empathy or aren't very sensitive. And there's people like that. There's a lot of people who are just like, they don't really care. Those are the people that should be doing all the stuff. Now this guy, he's a strong guy. He's got arm sleeves on both his arms, a beard. Kind of reminds me like Paul Bunyan. Strong guy. And people with tattoos, like arm sleeves that have a lot of tattoos, got some neck tattoos, they're wired differently too. A lot of them are, well, they're tough. They're tough. They can deal with stuff. And this guy's talking about how he still thinks about the mom of this 12-year-old who hung himself, screaming. He still thinks about things. People who have no empathy or who are narcissists, who only care about themselves, they should be police officers, detectives, and be in the armed forces.
You can't shut it off. Fake a smile every day. And you give people the best version of yourself because they need you in that moment. Whether it might not be a big event to you, it might be stupid to you. You might think this is a stupid call, but man, they call 911. Police. Because they're having such a bad moment. They need you at your best. Forget about the next call. It's time to move on. This is what I always got told. So at the end of that shift, I walked in, and my sergeant's sitting there with his legs up, shoes off. So, Cook, how was it? I'm like, oh, it sucked. First call of the day, kid hung himself. It's a lot. He starts laughing. He's like, suck it up. Welcome to being a cop. I was like, what? And then it just,
You know, it's true.
For the next, 2.5 years, it was a ride, man. Every day, like,
2.5 years?
bro, if you're not checked in, when you check in for service, if you're not
He only lasted 2.5 years. He couldn't deal with it.
it was a ride, man. Every day, like, bro, if you're not checked in, when you check in for service, if you're not mentally checked in, you could die. You could die. There were times where, because let's say you're being proactive, it's a scary feeling walking up to a car that you just pulled over,
That's my number.
especially if you can't see inside of it.
That's my number one.
A lot of people ask, why do cops touch the back of the car? For DNA. For if we're shot and killed, right then, right there, our fingerprints are on the back of that car. So when they find it, they can for sure say that is the vehicle. There's Cook's fingerprints.
I didn't know that.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan show from, if you get
I didn't know that. I always wondered when they're walking up, why, seeing like police videos, because they have those body cams. They touch the back of the car, and I've always been like, why are you touching the back of the car? Oh, it's to leave their DNA behind just in case whoever they just pull over kills them. That has always been my number one thing. If I ever was a police officer, pulling someone over, you get out of your car, you close your police car door, you have no idea what you're gonna get yourself into. It could be like a nice person who's just, oh, I'm sorry, officer, for speeding, or not wearing my seatbelt, or just a simple traffic stop. Or it could be someone with a warrant, and they know they're gonna be found out because they ask for your license and insurance, proof of insurance. You don't know what to expect. But as far as always touching the back of the trunk of the car, always touching the back, I never knew that's why police officers did it, is to leave their DNA behind just in case they're shot and killed, and they can, if they track down the car, wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, you gotta turn it off. I couldn't do it. A 12-year-old boy hung himself, and your very next call is an 80-year-old woman complaining about some stupid neighbor's cat on her vehicle, and she wants to file a police report for damages. Can cats make damage on cars? And then he said, it turned out that she was just lonely or whatever, and wanted someone to have coffee with. I don't care how old you are, I don't care how lonely you are, everyone gets lonely at times. I would never call 911 to report something. Oh, I gotta report something, I'm so lonely, I need someone to talk to. Anyways, to go from 12-year-old boy who just cut down, holding his legs, other officer cutting him down, putting him on the ground. 12-year-old was obviously bullied, he didn't like going to school. 12 years old, killed himself. You gotta go to that next call, whatever it is. And you have to act, you have to give the same attention to that lady as you did to that woman whose child is missing or was missing. PTSD, man, PTSD. I know a lot of you are watching and are like, man, I couldn't do that either. I couldn't do that job. It would haunt my dreams, cause nightmares. Anyways, yeah. Like always and forever, guys, take care, be safe, peace, everyone.